Welcome to the Bend Don't Break podcast. We are powered by The Source, Ben's locally owned media company and weekly newspaper. This podcast is our eddy in the rushing waters of local journalism. We are glad that you're taking some of your time to listen to us chat with the people who shape our local community. Support us through our member program at bensource.com.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, RE/MAX Key Properties, a family-owned full-service real estate brokerage specializing in residential, luxury, commercial, new construction, and ranch and land properties. Their new state-of-the-art facility at 42 Greenwood Avenue is a modern, collaborative space and the new home of the Bend Don't Break podcast recording studio.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. I am Aaron Switzer, publisher of The Source and producer of this fine Bend Don't Break podcast. Today, I am joined by Amber Thacher, who is the executive director of City Club of Central Oregon. Prior to moving to Central Oregon in 2023, she was senior director of executive education at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, where she oversaw program delivery teams and directed executive education programs focused on economic development, policy implementation, crisis leadership, and behavioral science. Prior to working in executive education, Amber worked in international education, where she managed study abroad programs and directed programs in Querétaro, Mexico.
Querétaro, but close.
Okay. Yeah, it's the hyphen.
Yeah, it throws everybody.
Costa Rica for a nonprofit in Eugene. She speaks Spanish and has an MA in Intercultural Relations from Lesley University and a BA in Political Science from the University of Oregon. In her spare time, Amber enjoys traveling, hiking, camping, volunteering at Volunteers in Medicine, and reading a good book by any river.
Any river.
Yeah.
Or body of water, beach, lake, anything.
I'm with you on that. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I should say, full disclosure, I am a member of the program committee for City Club, and it's one of my favorite things. So this is an easy conversation to have. And
should be an easy conversation.
Glad you're here. We've also been in quite a few meetings together over the last couple of days.
Yeah, we're just going to share an office pretty soon,
We're seeing
right?
each other constantly. The first thing that springs to mind is why Bend, Oregon? How did you arrive here? And we can get into specifically of how you got to something like City Club, but
sure.
How did you end up? I mean, you went to the University of Oregon.
Yep, I went to U of O. I am actually from Roseburg, Oregon.
Okay.
By way of San Diego. We moved to Roseburg when I was in high school.
Okay.
So went from San Diego to Glide, Oregon, actually. Our address is Roseburg, but I went to Glide.
That's got to be a really smooth cultural transition.
Super smooth, easy peasy. I was not the outsider. I was not scared when the school sent home a letter saying shotguns would no longer be allowed at school. Was not scared of the first field burn that we experienced. Right. So yeah, it was a good culture shock, but it was a great move. And I really resonate with Oregon, and I feel like I did most of my growing up here. And when I moved to the East Coast, anybody would say, where are you from? I'd always say Oregon. Yeah. And so, that's kind of after 17 years on the East Coast, it was time to be a West Coaster again. And I missed being able to access the outdoors so easily and just be around people that don't honk their horns or, really.
Those people seem to be moving in more and more. Every once in a while I'll hear it and I'll just be like,
I know, right?
They are not from here.
No, my friends back in Boston, when I'd say, oh, we don't honk in Oregon, they're like, well, what if somebody doesn't go on like a red light? And I say, you wait, and you just wait. And they say, how long do you wait? I said, I've probably sat through 2 light cycles. And then you like tap your horn and then say, oh, sorry, the light, sorry. Right. So yeah, very different. But yeah, I'd been thinking about coming back to the West Coast and specifically Oregon for a number of years, but can't do the rain. Knew that right away. Was not going to move to where it was rainy. And I actually have a really good friend that moved here probably 7 years ago. She and I worked together at Northwestern University. So I'd started coming to visit her when I'd come home for the summers to visit. And I was like, Bend, what is this place? We used to come over to Sun River all the time in college, but never made it into Bend other than to go to Costco. And so it really started to pique my interest. And then I found myself crying as I would drive to the Redmond airport to get on my plane to go back to Boston. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. And my friend was just like, I'd hem and haw of like, oh, am I going to find a job? Am I going to find a house? Like all the things.
Yeah.
And she's like, just pull the trigger and figure it out. And so I did. And so, ended up here, and it's been a great transition so far.
Yeah, you really don't, when you're in Bend, Oregon, run into a lot of people who've been to Harvard. It's not like running theme. Do you meet many classmates or alumni?
So I didn't go to Harvard. I just worked there. Actually, I did run into, and I'm going to blank on his name, but he spoke at Bend 101 that I went to.
Okay.
And he is an alum of the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Very well known, I think, in Bend, was probably a county commissioner, city councilor, Bend Lapine Schools, gentleman. I can't think of his name, but yes, he was an alum of HKS.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about that. Yeah. But yeah, Harvard is.
How did you
Harvard's just another school.
How'd you find work there?
At Harvard?
Yeah.
So
Seems like it would be quite an arduous process.
It can be.
Yeah.
I happened to know somebody who worked in executive education, and he and I had worked together in study abroad before, and he knew I was looking to do something different. And he said, hey, I have an opportunity that I think you'd be great at. So applied on literally New Year's Eve. I told myself, you have to submit this application before you're allowed to go out. And so I hit submit and then headed to some New Year's Eve parties, and 3 months later I was starting the job. So, it was pretty, fortuitous, or, I just had a good network of people that helped me navigate that. And it was a really great experience. Met a lot of cool people. And
what is executive education? Like, when you go into that field, what does it lead to? What does it mean? Like, what are you looking to do?
Yeah. So I actually didn't know, just like my work and study abroad, I didn't know it was a field until I got into it. And it's a big field. I mean, a lot of universities, a lot of, just education companies have a focus on professional development. Yeah. And it's really taking a lot of what is being taught in the case of the Kennedy School, what was being taught in degree programs, so a 1 to 2 year master's program, condensing a topic down into a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, and training people that are currently out in the field. So real world application to what was being taught to the graduate students.
And what was your role for them? How did you? I mean, were you teaching the classes? Were you helping condense the curriculums, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so similar to the work that I do at City Club, it was bringing to life these programs. Yeah. So we worked with faculty. Each program had a faculty chair who was a faculty member at the Kennedy School, who would really kind of bring the idea of the curriculum, the classes, bring the speakers together, or the other professors together, to really bring together a seamless, flowing, week-long program. I'd work with them a lot on some of the development, but it was a lot of the logistics around it. So bringing the faculty together, making sure that they were ready to do their best work in front of a classroom. And then my job was also to seat the class. So I did all the admissions for the programs that I ran. I got to read a lot of applications from people from all over the world doing really cool things.
I would think that while it sounds, to be honest, a little stuffy, I'm sure that you met crazy eccentric people who are in those fields, and the ideas must have been wild.
Yes, crazy eccentric people, also people doing just really good work. Yeah. I think, Harvard has the reputation of being that stuffy and elite place to be, but really for the work that I did, it was, we wanted the people that were out there doing the work. We didn't look at GPAs, it was more about the experience that they were bringing to the classroom than the academic background per se. And so it was really awesome to be able to meet people doing, transportation in Liberia, or AIDS advocacy in South Africa, or, crisis and tsunami prevention in Indonesia. So it was really cool to be able to just interact with people that were doing the work on a daily basis.
And how long were you there?
I was there for 9 years.
Okay, wow.
So it was quite a while, and probably one of the highlights of the work that I did is we ran a program for the government of Abu Dhabi. So I would go to Abu Dhabi at least once a year, if not more, to work with
as much as possible.
As much as possible. I think I went 9 times. By like the 5th, I was like, okay. But it was really cool to just be in that part of the world that it's not on everybody's radar and has a lot of misconceptions, I think, that go along with it. And it was really cool to be able to be working with their government officials and then getting to explore the region as well was really cool.
And so then at some point you make the pivot and you decide City Club in Bend, Oregon is going to be very compelling next to Abu Dhabi. And,
yes, that was the natural progression there.
Right? You're watching the tennis on the skyscraper rooftop, and then
yes. City Club came along at just kind of the right time. I had actually planned to take a year off of working. I call it my sabbatical, my gap year, whatever it was. And so I did a lot of traveling. I was here for a few months in 2023. And was about to sign a lease in December. And my friend was like, "Are you going to ski every single day?" And I said, "No." She's like, "Then why are you spending winter in Bend? Like, get out of here. You have nothing holding you down. Go." So I did a bunch of traveling and then got sick of living out of a suitcase. And so decided it was time to come and sign a lease in Bend, and be here. And as I was getting ready to do that, I met with Kim Gammon, who's the former executive director. And she was about to head to Habitat.
Right.
And we had been talking about some other work that City Club was looking for. And she said, "Actually, I'm leaving. Like, would you want to think about being the interim executive director?" And I said, yes, this really fits in line with just my interest and my background in public service and working with government and nonprofit and, people doing good work out in the world. And along with kind of all the nitty gritty logistics and making stuff happen. It came along and was the right time, and we just keep going, and it's been about a year now, almost.
I think one of the, you're in this world now, but the one of the interesting things I don't think people realize about City Clubs is it's actually 2 boards. There's the City Club board, and then there's the program committee board, and a few people serve on both, but it's an interesting structure in that it's a little bit like journalism with the wall, where the program committee hears ideas but doesn't necessarily need to take those ideas, and there is a lot of integrity in that process. I wonder if you could just speak to like stepping in and trying to navigate that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I think one of the challenges and benefits of me kind of being an outsider per se is I came in not knowing a lot about what was happening in Bend and Central Oregon in terms of politics or growth or development and, healthcare and all the stuff that we've been talking about lately. So I kind of came in without some notion of what I wanted it to be, or, my role has really been to foster what great work City Club has already been doing and keeping the train on the tracks, so to say. So I think it's really been interesting to see how the process does evolve, and it is a varied process, I would say. I don't think we have a magic, here's the process that we follow, which is good and bad. I'm a very process-driven person, but I think it allows for a lot of new ideas to percolate and timely ideas to come about. The ideas for forums really center around the programs committee, and the programs committee is kind of the lifeblood of what City Club does. The forums that we do every month are our product per se. And so the ideas that come from the programs committee really drive what we do, but ideas also come from the board. They also come from, our membership that writes to us and says, hey, I'd love for you to do a forum on this topic.
Pushy community
the
members.
Pushy community.
Not necessarily, but the people at organizations are like, this is a great forum and I will be the moderator and I will get the people.
I mean, they're...
No names. We're not naming
names,
any
no
names.
No names. But I think that's what's cool is, one person or one organization can't have their ear to the ground of every single thing that's going on. So really having the ability to draw on what is of interest to the community, what City Club feels is important to highlight in terms of issues or new things that are coming down the pike that we want to make sure that the community is informed on. I think it's really interesting just to see where those ideas come from and how we can make them mutually beneficial to the organization and to the community. I mean, that's what City Club is about, is helping to inform the community, helping to create and foster dialogue civilly and nonpartisanly around issues of relevance to Central Oregon.
I think one of the things, I came on to the program committee in 2021. So it was during the pandemic, and there was watching the organization move, because it had been formulated prior to the pandemic, but not long prior to it, and had been doing its thing. And then with COVID wrecking all of the in-person things for organizations like City Club, they just simply can't exist. And I think Kim did a remarkable job in formulating these kind of online forums. And the real interesting time, though, was as it started to open back up. And I mean, City Club has an older demographic, so there was a heightened concern there from attendees, which held registrations back. It was a tough time to get for those in-person things, and then to watch it slowly but surely picking up and accelerating, and then having you come on as the executive director somewhat recently is really neat to see these larger forums returning, because there was this thought like, well, are we in a period where people no longer want to go to these type of events? Or is the sit-down lunch with the informed speaker old-fashioned? I remember we had several discussions like that in the program committee, and just kept plugging away on these kind of trying to be as relevant as we could to the times, which is kind of the fun part about it. And now we've seen over the last years, well, I'll let you speak to it, the numbers since you've started have been doing very well.
Sure. Yeah, it is exciting to see. And, I lived through pivoting programs, in-person programs in COVID, that was my life for about a year. And it was hard and scary. Yeah. And, I think it was also, COVID was horrible, but it gave us organizations a lot of opportunity to try things in a less risky way. Like, we could try things because people were super forgiving and they knew what the times were. And, I know it was really hard for City Club, but I think, plugging along and seeing what would work and staying the course a little bit probably really benefited the organization, even though I know it had to have been extremely hard.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with any organization that kept going through that and kept to their mission, didn't swerve, didn't do things that, I don't want to say cut corners, but, a lot of people took shortcuts that later people look back and like, that wasn't that cool, and City Club didn't do that. They just kept to their mission, and it's paying off.
And I think I think you're right. It is paying off. We have seen probably since November, all of our forums have been sold out. Yeah. And I think people are really ready to be back. I mean, I think everybody's ready to be back in person. I think we're beyond that at this point. But I think also, given what's going on in the country right now, people are really ready to dive in locally. That's my
well, you can see it.
Yeah, I think people are just there's too much going on up here, and it's overwhelming and scary and uncertain. And so let's dig into what's happening at the local level and where you can actually see real change and real difference on an individual level that's harder to see and do at a bigger national level. So I think we're really seeing that with City Club, especially with the topics that we've had over the last 6 months. They're very, very local. We're talking about, healthcare. We're talking about the Mount Bachelor.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Potential sale back in December. Right. We're talking about water. We're talking about growth. We're talking about housing that's really localized here in Central Oregon. So I think that is a big draw for people, especially right now.
Yeah, I was fortunate to get to moderate the forum with the strategic city planner and the county and one of consultants for Visit Bend. And what I was struck as I moved about the room prior to the forum was a lot of new people in the community who I'd ask them why had they showed up, and they were trying to learn and integrate and meet the people who cared, which I was struck by. I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of this demographic as folks who really want to meet and hear from directly the people who are doing these things. And it is for the cliche, it's a no spin zone. It's pretty politically neutral, and you're hearing and can ask questions directly to folks who are planning your streets.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's really our goal, is to inform the community. We don't have an agenda that we're trying to, advocate for. We really just want people to be informed so that they can, make decisions, and they can figure out where they want to put their efforts in. We're hoping that this turns into more civic engagement by the community. So I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to, like you said, meet the people that are doing the work that you don't, necessarily get to see on a daily basis. Bend's a little bit different or Central Oregon, I'm learning.
It's not Boston.
It's not Boston. Yeah. It's a very, very small community. So sure, maybe you are seeing Eric King at, the grocery store and, Jeff from Visit Bend here and there. But I think it is a unique opportunity to get to ask those people questions and hear about what's going on locally.
Maybe to take this moment to just talk about some of the upcoming forums and what people might get to see or hear if they tune in.
Sure. So I think we have a really great lineup coming up for the next 6 months. So we're already planning that far out, which
which you have to do.
You have to do, but we've
done the other like next month and you're working on it.
So. Yeah, but I think just we want to also leave space for timely things that pop up, which we do as well. But next month's forum is going to be on food insecurity in Central Oregon, which as the forum team is delving more into the issue, it's staggering and unbelievably huge problem here in Central Oregon. So personally, I think that this is probably going to be the most eye-opening and important discussion that we have all year. So I really encourage people to attend that one. It may not be as sexy as growth and water and, Mount Bachelor, but it's a really, really important conversation that needs to happen in the community, and just to raise awareness of the issue at hand and how people can impact change at a local level.
Yeah, there's so many changes. I mean, everybody reads about and hits tangentially the impacts from federal government and stuff, but being able to see how it actually is hitting the road here, and these organizations that are on the front line, and listen to them speak to it, I think is what's interesting about this coming City Club, because these are the folks who were like, yeah, my funding just got cut and we're working with this farm over here and this farm, oh, their funding also got cut. So collectively, it's not just that we got this one cut, it's that it cut across the line and what that means in service numbers to people who are giving food to the homeless. It's pretty vast.
It's pretty vast. And it's not just the cuts that are potentially coming. It's also that the need has grown over the last 3 years. So there was a spike during COVID times, but beyond that, it's just continued to grow. I think we talked about this, the 17% growth.
In the homeless, I think that's in the homeless count.
So the need for food resources in our community has grown over the last 3 years significantly. So it's a double-edged sword with an increase in need and then cuts to funding. So I think it's an important topic that people need to be educated on and realize that it might not be affecting you directly, but it's affecting your neighbor.
Right.
It's affecting the person you might be working with or the student in your classroom. So I think I would encourage everybody to attend that forum. And then in the fall, we're going to take the summer off this year. People will still be hearing from us, but we won't have any forums. And then in the fall, you are going to be working on
a legislative update and getting hold of and having a forum with the legislators. City Club's had a lot of success with city managers, and so getting the representatives to come and talk about what they saw in the House and Senate and will be great.
Yeah, I think it'll be really important. I think it'll be a good time to do it after the session's over. Maybe they're going to go into a special session. We don't know. But really just to hear about how it went, what they're seeing, what they're predicting for the future. And then, I recently read about the Central Oregon Coalition that's come about with Anthony Broadman and
Breeze
Iverson.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to hear about that too, of like, that's a new thing. What's that look like, and what's that doing for Central Oregon in Salem? So hopefully that comes together. We're looking forward to that. And then
I hope it does come together, because I'm the lead on that one. If it doesn't, I'm going to be responsible.
Aaron, I hope that comes together. And then October, we are going to be looking at climate change and kind of something around the climate action plan here in the region, and looking at what is happening with net zero efforts. So looking at net zero energy, net zero waste, and net zero water. We haven't fully baked it out yet, but that's kind of the gist of it. We think something around climate and innovative efforts that are happening locally would be a really good conversation to be having.
COCC just announcing their intention to go net zero and all the things they're putting into place. So
and I think it's part of what we want to aim for is also inspiring others. So hopefully hearing from people that are already being successful or already trying these things, hopefully will inspire other organizations or businesses or just people in their homes to start thinking about things differently. So that'll be October. November is a really exciting one for us. So last year, I think was the first year that City Club did a Members' Choice Forum. So the programs committee kind of comes up with some ideas and puts about 4 or 5 topics out to the community, to our membership community, to vote on what they want to hear. So that'll be the November forum. The vote will go out to our membership in probably late July, early August, and then it'll be up to the community. But I think the things that we're looking at for those topics are, we did a healthcare forum, a business of medicine forum in January. That was very well received.
Yeah, that was my favorite of the year so far.
That was nice of you to have a favorite that wasn't the one you moderated.
I really liked the one I was the lead on. Can we talk more about that? Kat did that. Miss Strangelo, and I thought it was the best of the year for sure. She was excellent.
I think there's so much more to dive into about that. So that'll be a 2.0 on that will be one of the topics, and it'll probably focus more on the workforce need around healthcare in the region and how that impacts everything. Another topic that is on the list for the Members' Choice Forum is kind of mental health in the region, where we're at. What does mental health services currently look like in the region? How do we compare to other similar sized communities and geographic communities in the U.S.? What are the needs of our community? Where are we succeeding, and where do we need a little bit more work to focus on that? What were the other
personally rooting for that one?
Personally,
that's my favorite of the four.
Yeah.
What were the other two?
Oh, one's a landfill.
Oh,
So it's time to
don't vote for that. Don't vote for that.
It's time to have a new landfill in the area. And I know that we've had that conversation previously. But I think there's more. I think it's becoming more urgent now. And we're, that's certainly one that people keep poking us a little bit about doing, just because it means citing in people's backyards, essentially, in someone's backyard. Somebody's has strong
getting the
feelings
dump.
about having the dump in their backyard. And that did come up at the county administrator city managers forum last week. Nick talked a little bit about where we're at with that process. Yeah. So we'll see if that one gets chosen. And I'm completely blanking on the fourth. We just met about it yesterday.
Someone's going to be, one of those leads is going to be angry with us.
Oh, man.
Didn't even remember our phone.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a really tantalizing topic.
Yeah. And we're in the, so City Club is at the end of its member drive right now. But like all member drives, they never end.
They never end.
So
no.
I think if you're listening to this, unless you got right on it, the member drive is over. But nonetheless, how can people get better connected to City Club and become members?
Sure. So we are a membership-driven organization. Everything we do is supported by membership, is supported by sponsorship, and supported by donations. So that is how the organization operates. And our membership is growing significantly. I think I just looked and we're at 244 members, which I think is an all-time high, which is super exciting. And we'd love to have more people join. Membership really gives you access to the forums. That's one of the great perks at a member rate, but it also gives you voting privileges you can choose one of the four topics. The fourth we can't remember off the top of our heads, but
not the landfill.
Aaron really doesn't want to talk about the landfill again. You can vote for the board members that really, drive the governance of City Club. Yeah. And it just is really a commitment to your support of having these conversations in the community. It really shows that you appreciate and value the dialogue that happens and the informed conversations that City Club's able to deliver to the community.
I think one of the things that people don't realize when they're a member is, from a programming standpoint, we will often come up with a topic and know of somebody in Colorado or Washington or Portland who would be really valuable for the conversation, but they're expensive. You've got to get room, board, and travel.
Or you have to worry about the pass being closed.
Yeah, and so you need that funding and support to bring those in. And the more members and the more support the organization has, the better those the forums are. You pair those experts with local experts, and you get a really good vision for some of the topics. So,
this year we were able to bring somebody from New York to really speak about Mount Bachelor. He was an expert in the ski industry, and I think he really brought a really great perspective to the conversation. Yep. Jonathan Bach came down from Portland to talk about workforce housing. Yeah. He had just released a book. The more we can, we want to highlight the experts and the people that are doing work in Central Oregon, but sometimes a lot of that expertise lives outside the region as well. And it's really important to be able to bring that to the conversation. I really encourage people to think about joining City Club. We have individual memberships, we have buddy pack memberships, we have business memberships. like hustling out here.
Yeah, right.
And if you are,
I didn't know there was a buddy pack.
there is a buddy pack. You get, 2 people can join. So it's a really great opportunity just to, again, support City Club and engage more with the work that we're doing. The membership drive does end May 31st. And some of the benefits of joining during that time is you get your first form free. And then Hayden Homes Amphitheater has generously donated a gift bag, which includes 2 free tickets to a 2025 concert, subject to availability, in the gift bag. Yeah. So anybody who joins during the membership drive is entered to win that.
Right. Well, we're at the end of our time. Yeah. Amber, where can people find out more? What's the best place to go?
The best place is our website. It's cityclubco.org. And that has all of our membership information. It has all of our information about our forums, our committees. So everything's on the website.
Perfect. Well, thank you for listening to this version. Amber, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And if you like what you hear after you become a member of City Club, then click on the member link on the Source website and become a member for the Source member program and help us continue to have great conversations like this with Amber. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to the Bend Don't Break podcast powered by the Source Weekly. To read, hear, and see more of what we do, go to bensource.com.